Hello, and welcome to ICE Mental Game Training's Take Action podcast, the podcast created to throw sparks you can use to ignite yourself into action. I'm your host, Coach Pomai, and today we're going to talk about 5 steps to maximize your training when the rinks are closed. It's been about 6 weeks in my part of the world since skaters have been able to be on the ice. 6 weeks without training. What about you? How long has it been for you off the ice? Recently, I've spoken to many of my students and other skaters as well, and it's getting a little bit more difficult to stay motivated off the ice. Now's a time when now's a time for a really this is a time this could be a great time to answer this question. Is skating still a priority? Is it still important? Whatever your situation is, it's been long enough for virtual and online options to start appearing. If you're lucky, you might even still be on the ice. If you're able to see your coach for dryland technique classes, maybe even conditioning classes, that's great. But what if you're still trying to piece together a temporary program on your own? Or what if you want to do more than what you're offered? Well, here's a process that will help you get a little bit closer to finding the right choice for your off-ice classes. Remember that you can and should do anything that you want for fun. Just follow your heart for those things. What I'm talking about here is how you can take action to prioritize your skating. Step number 1, find clarity. First of all, answer the question truthfully and honestly. Is skating still a priority? If you answered yes, then are you treating it as a priority right now? Be honest about this. If your answer to the second question is no, then it's time for you to get busy. I've put together some questions to help you get moving. First of all, what we want to do is we want to figure out what classes and coaching will help you. And second, we want to also find out what types of classes or coaching will not help you. So here you go. I'd like you to stop this recording for a sec. Get a timer, get your phone, and set a timer for 5 minutes. Okay? Really be thoughtful when you write down the answers to the following questions. Question number 1. Before the rinks closed, what did you, your child, want to accomplish in skating? Question number 2. When the rinks open again, what do you, your child, want to accomplish in skating? Then question number 3, is there any difference between the answers to question 1 and the answers to question 2? Then last question number 4, is skating still a priority for you and your child? If skating is not a priority, it's okay. You can stop reading here. But if you choose to continue, if skating is not a priority, totally fine. Go ahead and stop this recording and go do something else. The rest of this is not for you. But if you choose to continue to make skating a priority, then it's time to get back to work. So step number 1 was to get clarity. Is skating a priority? Do you want to continue to make it a priority? Step number 2, make smart choices for you. So what do you need to work on, or what do you want to work on? Is it jump technique? Is it spins? What do you want to work on? It could be mental game. It could be conditioning. Let's start that again from step 2. Step number 2, make smart choices for you. What do you need to work on? Or what do you feel you need to work on? Is it jump technique, spins, axis, conditioning, off-ice conditioning, stabilization, core, mental game? A full schedule is not the same as training purposefully. I want you to really be picky. If you're taking a class, make sure it takes you closer to the skills you need for you to skate better. There have been just an explosion of classes on the internet, conditioning, spin classes, groups getting together. Make sure that you choose something that's going to help you bridge the gap between where you are right now and where you want to go. And you know what? It might just be maintaining your body, maintaining your fitness, maintaining your technique. For example, if you're a beginning skater, a group get-together of advanced skaters with no coaching will not suit your needs. Why waste your time? It might be that a class There have been an explosion of classes, conditioning, spin classes, all sorts of things. Make sure that you choose something that's going to help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go. For example, if you're a beginning spinner, for example, if you're a beginning spinner, let's do this again. All right, be picky. If you're taking a class, make sure that it takes you closer to the skills that you need for you to skate better. There's been an explosion of classes. It's like being a kid in a candy store, so many choices. So make sure that you choose something that's going to help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go. I had a student talk to me the other day. She wants to improve her spins, and it helps to be motivated. It helps her to be motivated when she's with a group of people. So she checked out some of these spin classes. One of them was a spin class that was a group get together of advanced spinners. There was no coach. They were just all doing, hey, let's do this spin and let's do that spin. Well, for her, that did not suit her needs at all. So she won't be going back to that one. A class with a coach putting you through the basics, in this case, might be better. Of course, your first choice will always be to see your coach for the technical information that you need. The second choice would be at least to get their input on what you need to work on and check in periodically. Maybe you can send them videos on things and they can give you feedback. The third choice would be to sign up for an online class or course. Make sure that you get their approval for the technical things like spins or jumps. You've worked so hard on your technique. You don't want to mix yourself up. What can you do if your coach can't see you as much as you want? First, what you can do is work on basics. That's probably the best use of your time. Basics like technique, strengthening, filling in the gaps, working on balance, working on your axis, getting in tighter, all of those things. Working on the stabilizer muscles that you need for your technique. The second thing you can do is to work on non-technical things like mental skills training and conditioning. There are lots of options. There are courses, I even have one. There are groups that get together, or even better, hire an expert to customize a program. That program can address exactly what you need to improve. You're going to improve faster, and you're going to be sure that you are doing exactly what you need. After a long period of inactivity, you might be tempted just to fill your schedule up. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I love this quote by Lao Tzu. Doing nothing is better than being busy doing nothing. Be selfish. Choose only the things that will address your specific needs. So step number 1 was to get clarity. Step number 2 was to decide what you need. Step number 3, be smart and think out of the box. This is how people usually go about solving on-ice problems. First of all, they get more coaching. Second of all, they get more ice time. And they don't ever think about mental skills. Even the best skater in the world can't skate up to their potential if their brain isn't in the game. I wanted to recommend to you an article I wrote about 3 sides to skating success, and it talks about how there are 3 sides: technical, physical, and mental, and all of those 3 things need to be there in order for you to skate your best. I'll include the link down in the descriptions box below. I hope you'll check it out. I'm going to use mental skills as an example. of how to think out of the box. Since you're reading this, you know you want to improve your mental game for competition and practice. I'm here to tell you that you're right. If you've suffered from problems before, when you get back on the ice, these things will still be there unless you work on them. So for example, if you complain about low confidence, lack of consistency on jumps, or frustration when faced with a terrible competition after skating clean programs leading up to it, those problems are still going to be there if you have not done anything in the meantime to work on them. When you get back on the ice, I guarantee you there might be a honeymoon period, but those problems will be right back. Unless you've made a change somehow in your perception, in your mindset. Let me give you an example of bowling. So I was a high school bowler, and occasionally I'll go back to the bowling when I want to go. So I was on the bowling team in high school, and occasionally through the years after I graduated, I would go back and bowl. And guess what? My wrist was still floppy. I hadn't worked on it, and there was a long gap. Why wouldn't it be better? Of course it's not going to be better. I haven't done any work on it. So that's a really great example of kind of a silly, but let me give you an example about, okay. So if you've suffered from problems before, when you get back on the ice, these things will still be there unless you've made a change. For example, I was a bowler in high school. I was on the bowling team. And I had this problem of my wrist. I used to use a wrist guard so that my wrist would stay straight. We didn't know anything about conditioning. We didn't know anything about practicing in little steps, anything that I've learned now. In fact, that's why I went to learn all of this. When I go bowling with my family or with my friends every so often, I still have that same problem. Okay, makes sense, right? I didn't do anything about it. I haven't been practicing in the meantime. It's still there. I have not had a mindset shift. I have not had any kind of other things going on. So if you complain about low confidence, lack of consistency on jumps, if you get frustrated when you're faced with a terrible competition after skating clean programs leading up to it, all of those things are going to still be there when you get back on the ice. If you had low confidence before all of this happened, your confidence will not magically increase with time away from training without help. If popping and circling was a problem before, right now you can start to put routines in place to change this. Yes, you can do this off the ice. You can do this off the ice. Don't expect change if you don't take any action to change. This is the perfect time to start changing yourself. When you're not jumping and training on the ice, you can choose to make mental skills a priority and make a lot of progress because guess what? You don't have anything else to do. You don't have as much to balance. Step 4, expert teaching makes sense. As an expert, I see this as a huge opportunity for skaters to address part of their training that has been neglected. It often comes last, like as a last resort. For example, if a skater is coming back off of an injury and isn't able to jump, what we do is we don't have them wait until they get back on the ice. We don't have them wait until they can jump before they get back on the ice, right? That doesn't make any sense at all. We ease them into it, and before they can jump, until they get cleared to jump, they work on other skills. This is the same thing. Take advantage of the time that you have to maximize other parts off the ice while you can. A lot of people think about finances. This is a really, really hard time for a lot of people. If you are skating though, or if you are spending, if you do have money that you're, Right now, finances are critical. People are thinking about, hey, you know what? I can save. I don't have to pay for ice time. I can save all this money. I'm guilty. I'm a parent as well. With the ice time, oh, how am I going to say this? As an expert, I see this as a huge opportunity for skaters to address a part of their training that is neglected. It often comes last as a last resort. A big starting over from step 4. All right, so step 1, you got clarity. Step 2, you know exactly what you want to work on. Step 3, you know which way, you're considering different ways of working on things. And step 4 is expert teaching makes sense. As an expert, I see this as a huge opportunity for skaters to address the parts of their skating that have been neglected. Things that often come last as a last resort. Let me give you an example. When a skater is coming off of an injury and getting back on the ice, do we wait until they're able to jump before they start back on the ice? No, of course not. When they're on the ice, but they're not cleared for jumping, they work on other things. They work on their edges. They work on maybe choreography. They work on spin technique. Once they're finally cleared for jumping, they go back and they work on jumping. Before they work on jumping, they can work on their drills and their exercises. Use that model here. You can't be on the ice. Why not work on some of these things that you know are going to make a big difference? Mental game is going to make a humongous difference. That and off-ice conditioning as well. Parents want to think about finances. I love that I'm saving money on ice time and coaching time. Use that to invest in hiring an expert in the other areas. Think of it as an investment, because sooner or later, if you have problems with confidence or with practice or with frustration, you're going to need to work on this. It's much easier to establish attitude, habits, and perspectives that decrease frustration than to wait until someone is so frustrated that they're stuck and you have to hire somebody to put out the fires first. Think about it as an airplane pre-flight check. So pilots don't wait until they get into an emergency before they learn how to take care of the emergency. You can bet that they are practicing emergency procedures and they're simulating pressure way before anything like that happens. Reading is great. So reading my articles, going on the internet and listening to people talk about things, but doing is the only way to actually make a change that sticks. The way we learn is through a feedback loop. Let me give you an example. So you have a coach who's teaching you how to do an axel. The coach says, do this, you go out, you jump, you come back. The coach says, I'd like you to correct this. You go out, you try to incorporate the, sorry. Reading is great, but doing is the only way to make a change stick. This is the way we learn. Through a feedback loop. Doing, being corrected, getting feedback. The way we learn is through a feedback loop. You do it, you get feedback, you correct it, you get more feedback, you do it again, and on and on. Let's do that again. The way we learn is through a feedback loop. You do something, you get feedback immediately, you do it again with the feedback correction, you get more feedback, you do it again, and so on, again and again. Immediate feedback is the key. Let me give you an example. When you are learning an axel, you do the axel, the coach comes and gives you feedback, you incorporate the corrections, do the axel again, The coach gives you more feedback, and again and again and again. This works because when you are doing it, we like to say when you're inside the jar, you can't read the label outside. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know what you're doing wrong. For example, if you're doing a camel spin and your coach is saying straighten your leg, and you go back and you do it and you think you're straightening your leg and your coach is, the leg is not straight. You wonder, I am straight. I'm really that I don't get it. Then your coach takes a video of you and you say, oh my gosh, my leg is not straight. Hey, that's because you need the feedback. You can't tell what you're doing wrong. A lot of times a skater will know, hey, you know what? I'm really nervous during competition. I want to work on, I'm going to read articles about how to not be nervous before a competition. They want to handle the nerves, but they're not focusing on the right thing. An expert can tell you that rather than focusing on the nerves during competition, what we're going to do is we're going to put routines in place so that your warm-up is exactly like what you're used to when you're going into warm-up on practice. That way, your nerves will be calm because you know what? You're clicking in. I know exactly what to do, how to warm up when I go into practice. It's a little bit of a different situation, but you've practiced that and you're able to kind of slip into a nice flow. So focusing on the right thing, immediate feedback. These are things that experts can help you with or somebody who can support you. For example, even a parent who has never skated and who has never studied coaching will be able to tell you something, I guarantee it, that you're not doing right, even if they haven't skated before. That's because they can see it. So far, step 1, you're very clear, skating is a priority. Step 2, you've decided what to work on that will give you the most benefit. Step 3, you want to train smart and you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and try something different to fast track your improvement. So that's why the same reason that you've hired your technical coach is valuable and valid for hiring a mental game coach or trainer. We'll talk more about trainers after this. Experts can quickly and efficiently guide you towards the outcome you want without the trial and error. Trial and error, that's a lot of wasted time. And that's what happens when you do it yourself. A lot of people feel like, well, I'm saving money on this because I'm doing it myself. How much is your time worth? Think about that. I've gotten into that trap so many times. I try to do something, usually it's online. I'm trying to figure out some kind of an app or software. Rather than just looking at the Google help, I try to trial and error it myself. So believe me, totally know that. So whether it's me or another mental game coach or sports psychologist, now is the best time to find that resource while you're not on the ice. If you're not quite ready to hire an expert, another option is to take a course so that you can see the value in what mental skills can do for you. And I've designed one especially for figure skaters so that they can start training their mental skills. I'm going to put the link down in the descriptions below. It's called Champion Mindset online course. Now, I come from a background in sports training, so I'd like to talk a little bit about off-ice conditioning as well, because this is another thing that you can really focus on while you're off the ice. And it will do you tons and tons of good if you do it the right way. So for example, a conditioning app or class meant for recreational athletes or people, for example, who want to lose weight, that's just a waste of your time. That is not the type of class you want to be taking. You want to look for skating specific classes or at least a general conditioning class for athletes at your level. Make sure that the curriculum doesn't clash with your physical needs. For example, you don't want to be taking a conditioning class for marathon runners because skating is not, even though the skating process is a marathon, over years and years and years, actually skating a program is not a marathon. Okay, so you want to do anaerobic versus the aerobic, which is the marathon sort of training, endurance training. For football players, let's do that again. For example, you don't want to take a conditioning class for marathon runners. Okay, that's an endurance sport. You don't need endurance of that type, long-term endurance. Ugh. For example, don't take a conditioning class for marathon runners. That's an endurance sport. And even though, yes, it's difficult to get through a long program, it is not the same as a marathon. You're not training the same thing. Or you don't want to train something, you don't want to take a class that trains football players. You don't need bulk, right? You don't need all of that. For the expert opinion, the expert option is to hire a physical therapist or physio who can do a general assessment as well as a customized program to stabilize, balance, and strengthen your body for skating specific movements. This is a wonderful time to address your specific weaknesses. Some trainers are able to do this, okay? So you might not need to have a physio or a physical therapist if your trainer is trained to do this. You're looking for someone who can go beyond strengthening just the large muscle groups. Okay, you need to facilitate the stabilizers and the community of muscles that are needed to execute these high-level movements. Ideally, you show them, this is what I need to do. I need to keep my left hip high. I need to do these certain things, and they will be able to design and customize exercises so that you can strengthen those stabilizers. One last time. Step 1, you've decided that skating is a priority. Step 2, you've chosen on what types of things you want to work on. Step 3, you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and try something different to fast track your improvement. And step 4, you've considered all of your options, including expert help. Now, these 4 steps, they won't get you anywhere if you fail to take action on your choices. So step 5 is take action, and take action now. I want to share with you 5 words that help me to get unstuck and to take action. I hope that they can help you too. If not now, then when? Ask yourself that anytime you're procrastinating. If not now, then when? A champion mindset is one that looks for opportunities to learn and grow despite adversity. And right now we are living in time of adversity. It is easy to complain and dwell on the past and everything that's keeping us back. No ice, no training, no time with my coach. Oh, this is just no fun. I challenge you to exercise your mindset muscle. Accept whatever the situation is that you have and look for opportunities to learn and grow. They're there. You can continue to train and even maximize your training and become a better skater. I'd like to leave you with an action plan. If you haven't already, number 1 is answer the question, is skating still a priority? Number 2, maximize your smart choices for you and what you want to accomplish. Action step number 3, be smart and think out of the box. Action number 4, find an expert to shortcut your learning and save you time and money. And action 5, take action now. If you still don't know what to do, contact me. I'm here to help. You don't have to want to work with me. I would like to help you to get some clarity and get you unstuck. That's what I'm here for. Thanks for listening. If you want to improve your mental game for competition or practice, download Confidence Busters Myth. Thanks for listening. If you want to improve your mental game for competition or practice, download Confidence Myth Busters, a complimentary ebook from the link in the description box below. Oh, please do me a favor. Please share this if you find it helpful or tell somebody else, one person, about this. If you want to learn more, you can find us at icementalgame.com or like our page on Facebook at icementalgame. This is Coach Pomai reminding you that it takes mindfulness to reach excellence. Until next time, aloha and happy skating.